Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fog. I'm your host, Casey, and with me, as always, my wonderful and beautiful wife, Veronica. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So you went out and auditioned for Ghost Town Alive. How did that go?
It was a lot of fun. For those of you who aren't familiar with Knott's Berry Farm's Ghost Town Alive, it's a LARP. Really, it's kind of like WoW, where there are characters roaming around and you can interact with them, and they give you quests and tasks, and then you can go do those tasks and come back and get a reward or get sent somewhere else. And then, there's fun things for the kids to do, like they can get mustaches applied to their faces and either join the good guys or the bad guys. There's a whole thing that goes Town Alive of what it is at Knott's. So it came around again this year. And they had auditions on Monday and then also this past Saturday. So I went in on Saturday, and because it's all audience interaction and you're playing off the audience is the star. They're basically like the hero. If you were to say rolling your character for WoW, It's like they're the main character. So it's all improv. You're feeding off what the guest gives you. So, that being the case, the whole audition was all improv based. And what they were doing was trying to fit, they have characters that they have in mind that they needed to cast. And they had, from what I heard, they had a lot of people return from last year. So they only had a certain amount of characters that they needed to cast.
How many people would you say showed up to audition? Just because it was 2 days of auditions, right? So it was...
Correct. 2 days of auditions.
You were there the first day?
I was there on the first day, and I believe there were 1 or 2 groups before my group, and each group had about 15 actors, so I think, ish.
Potentially they had maybe 90 to 100 people over the weekend audition?
Sure. Yeah.
About?
I don't know. It was a good handful of people. Yeah. There was a lot of interest in joining that crew.
Seems really fun. I would love to do it.
It would be a lot of fun. I could see a really interesting challenge with that kind of gig, but at the same time, challenge accepted. I wanted to see, if it was something that my particular skill set and aesthetic and acting style and interaction style would be a fit for. So yeah. I went in with, just like with any audition, you make your choices. So you decide what kind of character you would be comfortable in portraying and the take on how you see the event. So I have an odd, warped animation style background. So I immediately thought Sandy Cheeks. So that was the character when I slipped into a character at any time during the games. Yeah. It was a very Sandy Cheeks-esque, but more hick version of Sandy Cheeks. So
it was Mississippi.
Maybe. I don't know. It was more silly, definitely more goofy. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that I'm a more silly and goofy person. So I'm not going to be the prim and proper type gal with, the starched shirt and, the perfect seams and that kind of thing. Yeah. Just not who I would be in real life, not who I would want to spend 8 hours a day playing anyway. So that was a choice that I made. Turns out it wasn't a choice that they needed.
Did they give you any idea on which characters they were looking to fill and what their possible roles would be?
Not in the round that I was a part of. So how it went was they called you in and you sat with there were 2 casting directors, for lack of a better term. I don't know exactly what they were. And they gave us a rundown of the event and the kind of interaction they were looking for, but they did not identify any particular characters that they were looking to cast. Okay. They mostly just wanted to see what your abilities were pretty much before they wasted their breath and told you what they were looking for. Yeah. And also maybe not to taint your take on anything so that you didn't force a character or put on any sort of thing. They just wanted to see who you were. So they had us play improv games the whole time. So there was, the yes and game, and then another round of that with the flair. There was a couple of different fun improv-y style games. If you've ever taken an improv class, it was basically just a snippet of an improv class but they didn't give you any feedback. That was the difference. So you made your decisions and you came up with your ideas and you carried the story to where you wanted it to go. And then that was it. So it was a zero feedback kind of environment. So
they didn't give you anything.
Nothing. Like they
Played
would
the game and then that's it.
Right. So they weren't necessarily looking for you to be funny. They wanted to see how quickly you can respond to something and to see kind of if there's any sort of consistency. At least that's what I was picking up on.
That being said, did you get any of them to laugh?
I did. But again, that's just my nature is it. I mean, a shrink might tell me it's a defense mechanism, but I like to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So the first thing that comes into my head is something silly and goofy and something, that may not be the first thing someone else thinks of. So yeah, I made them laugh. I don't know if I gave them at all what they needed. I mean, I didn't because I didn't make it past round 1, but I mean, it was interesting to see because I do have an improv background and an acting background. Like at least I sleep better at night thinking that it wasn't a skills thing that held me back. It was a character thing that I just wasn't able to serve the purpose that they needed.
Yeah.
So they were casting plenty of people like in the group. So I got there super early and, there was a group already in the, they did it in the Charles M. Schultz Theater. So there was a group in there already doing their thing. And then the whole group came out and then, one of the casting directors came out and said, okay, we want to keep, and he listed off a couple of numbers, or she, I forget which one. So a handful of them went back into the theater and did some more, what I'm assuming were more improv games. Maybe then they were talking about the characters a little more, but I don't know. I didn't want to be too nosy because I didn't want to, warp my going in there, how I might behave or the choices I might make. So that group did end up getting culled. It was about half of them stayed, half of them left. So and they were starting to come out one by one, and I did hear them speaking about, did you get your measurements? So that leads me to believe that some of them did get cast, which is super cool because, they weren't done. But I mean, that could be anything. It could be, this is the character's costume. Do you fit in this character's costume? I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they got cast. So, it's all perspective, so I don't know. But, so that's what they did. It was a lot of fun. There were some really talented people, or I don't know if acting was their main gig, but they were very talented improv actors. And I kind of wish I had gotten more people's information because it'd be cool to follow up with them again. But it seemed like a really fun opportunity. It, wasn't for me, but they also were mentioning that there were other auditions coming up. So they're auditioning for bandits, they're auditioning for stunt performers, and for the saloon show. So if you're like the singy, dancey type.
So if somebody went to Ghost Town Alive last year and they were really excited, they're like, I would love to do that. Obviously the auditions are over for this year. But let's say they have a year now to prepare. What would you tell them to go and do in order to prepare them for at least the auditions that you went through?
Take an improv class or 2 or 3 or 5. Really get comfortable with the art because it is a skill that you develop and you learn and you perfect. I mean, it's more than just blurting out the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, you are carrying a story along always. And that's going to be the backbone of any improv class you take. Taking an acting class or 2 would be helpful. Cause you're going to be acting all day long. If you choose a character who's very much like yourself, that's great, but you're still acting. Yeah. So take a class or 2 of that, and attend Ghost Town Alive and try to do as many of the quest lines as you can, see as many of the events as you can, any of the shows, and see if you can see yourself being a part of that atmosphere. And then if you feel like, either you want to audition for experience or if you want to, really see yourself being part of that cast, then, go in with a decision and do your best. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was neat to bust out the old improv skills again because it's not something you really get to do often. I know with voiceover, we get to do it a little bit, but not to that extent, not where you're playing with 14 other actors, who are equally involved. Too. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. Cool. And the 2 casting directors, they definitely knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were looking for. They threw out really great suggestions. It was a lot of fun.
Do we know who writes the script for that? Because, it has to be one hell of a script.
Right? They pretty much wrote a Wild West version of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It's like a real version of Westworld.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there, guys, but I think, you know how they have Dapper Days at Disneyland? Mm-hmm. Well, Ghost Town Alive is going on. We should have Western Days at Knott's where everybody dresses up in Western gear and goes and plays Ghost Town Alive. So it's like a real Westworld experience.
But then how do you know if a person has, like, the invisible question mark above their head? Like, how do you know if they're a person who's an employee or just a dude? Like, kind of like the difference at Ren Fair, which is going on currently, that, you know, it could be a guest or it could be someone who works there. Like, how do you know the difference? Because, I mean, are they wearing their name tags, like their Knott's name tag, or?
I don't think any.
I don't think so.
Think any of them are. I think it would just be fun. So, you know, just do it. And
okay. I mean, I feel like I need a yes and that.
There should just be there should just be like a not a safe word, but like a Boysenberry.
That's too easy.
There should be like a phrase that you say. So like, let's say
like a Volkswagen Commandeer doesn't have a radiator?
No.
Okay.
You're dressed up and you're playing the Ghost Town Alive thing, but you're not an employee, and a guest comes up to you and asks you something. There's some kind of like some kind of phrase that you'd say like, oh honey, I don't know. I'm not from these parts, or something like that, where you would just like kind of brush them off and not have to interact with the guest.
It just seems really creepy because you never know, and then they could play you. It's kind of like why you're not allowed to wear costumes going into Scary Farm.
I guess
it's just to separate the dinosaurs from the guests, you know, like just in case.
Fine, we'll just make it really obvious, and it'll be Time Traveler Day, and everybody could dress steampunk. So then there's a big.
Please no, anything but that.
Oh, come on. No,
I can't.
How about Back to the Future Day, and everybody can dress like Marty? In like the clown cowboy outfit.
It's less upsetting. No offense to steampunk. If that's your art form, I apologize. I've had enough of it, personally.
Well, all right. Continuing on the Knott's thing, the Boysenberry Festival is going on, and we went opening weekend. It was a lot of fun.
It was really busy.
Yeah. But we took advantage. If you're a season pass holder, Knott's Berry Farm got in an hour early on opening day of the Boysenberry Festival, and we hit a bunch of stuff in that first hour. Thank goodness, because after that, it got crowded. Mm-hmm.
Well, we went with some friends of ours who also have a small child, so we spent the first part of the morning, most of the morning, in Fiesta Village. Not Fiesta Village. What's the other one? Camp Snoopy.
Yeah.
Not Camp Spooky, that's something else. Camp Snoopy. So we satisfied the kids' needs to go on rides and spin in circles and that kind of thing. And then we went from there to Fiesta Village, more for the kids, going on rides and stuff. And then from there we departed to the festival. But by then, it was already late enough in the day where it had turned into a zoo.
Yeah.
Just the line, crazy. Like we feel like all of Schoolhouse Road, where they used to serve the potato cheese soup.
Yep.
And they don't listen. Side note, if anyone who works at Disney or at Knott's Berry Farm or at Cedar Fair has any influence over your menu, please bring back the potato cheese soup in the sourdough bread bowl with the beautiful little cheese on top, because that just made every single trip to Knott's special. So please bring that back. Please and thank you. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So the line to get your tickets, because you needed to exchange tickets to get food items.
Yeah.
That line stretched from where they used to serve that soup all the way down to the schoolhouse.
Where the old Calico stage was. Mm-hmm. All the way down to like Birdcage.
Yeah. It didn't stretch quite that far, but it stretched pretty much down the entire street. And that was just to get your tickets. So get there early if you're going to play this game. So
instead of getting tickets, we went and got Boysenberry beer.
It was so good. Oh my God. It was so tasty. It was so sweet. It was like boysenberry bread.
It was delicious.
They really did a great job. And they serve that year round, right? At the CDR?
At the chicken dinner restaurant, you can get the boysenberry. From what I understand, you can get it year round. It's been a long time since I've ate at chicken dinner restaurant.
Have you been there since they remodeled?
Nope.
Me neither. We got to do that.
Okay. Let's do that.
We'll report back once we've visited the new chicken dinner restaurant.
Yes.
What else did we do at Knott's? Did we go on anything else? We didn't check out the laser tag.
You mean the VR experience?
Oh, yeah. Or the laser tag.
Laser tag's gone.
Okay.
Now it's a VR experience.
So that was when we had snuck in. We went like a couple of weeks before or like a week before, and we were looking everywhere for what could have been an entrance or the location of the thing. We couldn't find anything.
Yeah, because we knew it was going to be at the arcade. So we there was some curtains up, and we kind of looked around, and there was nothing there indicating that it was there. And then all of a sudden, it was there.
Poof! It's magic.
It's
and
they made it overnight. It was crazy.
The black curtains that were up, or you can peek underneath, and it was just an empty space with some paint buckets. I'm like, well, that can't be very far in production, but maybe it was.
That was where the door was to get in. That's crazy.
But if it's all VR, I guess how much set do they need to build?
It's pretty nice. Haven't you seen the pictures?
No.
There's a bunch of pictures online. You should check it out.
I should, since we have a podcast
all based
about
on. It's all based on the guy from the Kingdom of the Dinosaurs ride, the inventor that makes the time machine.
We're going back in time.
Exactly.
Aww,
yeah.
So
I think his name's Professor Wells.
I should know that too.
I think his name. And that's kind of the idea is you're going, he has some kind of new invention, I guess, or something that sends you back into Ghost Town and you're fighting robots.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. So I can't wait to check it out. We'll check it out soon.
We will. We'll report back again. Well, so we'll go to Chicken Dinner Restaurant, and then we'll finally eat something with boysenberries on it, and not just boysenberry beer, and then we'll report back about the VR experience.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to do at Knott's before we leave?
Oh, I can say we rode the new Ghost Rider.
Oh my gosh.
Updated Ghost Rider. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I was so happy with it.
That was, oh my goodness.
It seems so much faster and crazier than I remember it.
Yeah, and we swear to God that the end was different. There was some extra little dip or something going around when you cross over, what's that street that's right there? Grand Avenue?
Yeah.
Where you cross over Grand again, and then you flip a U-turn, and then you cross back over Grand back to the station. I swear there's something different back there. I don't know if maybe it's just smoother or we're going faster, but did the track change? Or does it
I do know they did some profiling. So they made some of the banked corners a little more banked. And I'm pretty sure they made that first drop steeper because it felt really steep.
It really did.
It
was crazy before, but it was really crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. And it felt really fast.
Oh, it was
fun.
Ugh, yeah.
It was back to how when it first opened, it felt totally out of control.
Yeah.
It was back to that fun, crazy, out of control feeling.
That's a great way to put it. It really does feel out of control.
Yeah.
You think you're going to fly off the tracks. There's no way you're going to stay on.
Yeah, it's such a cool ride.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's back to its former glory. Cause for a long time, I didn't even want to ride it anymore because it just hurt.
It hurt this time too, but mostly because I'm old and I don't handle roller coasters the way that I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what else? Midsummer Scream news came out. More Midsummer Scream. So if you're in SoCal or anywhere else in the country and you're coming out for Midsummer Scream, which is the July 29th and 30th at the Long Beach Convention Center. Yeah, 29th and 30th. Long Beach Convention Center. They just released all the information for the Hall of Shadows, which was one of the coolest parts last year. You can go, I'm sure, on YouTube and look up Midsummer Scream Hall of Shadows, and I'm sure you'll find plenty of videos and reviews. Basically what they did is they took a huge portion of the convention floor, and then they separated off. They put a gigantic black curtain up, and they turn off all the lights, and it's filled with a bunch of miniature versions of haunted houses and a really cool entrance portal. So last year, the entrance portal was done by Larry Bones at Boneyards Effects, and it was really cool. It was like a toxic waste spill at a research facility kind of thing.
Is that Toxicity?
Yeah, Toxicity. That's what it's called. And it was really cool, and it's like the entrance portal into the Hall of Shadows. So you have to go through it in order to get in there. This year, Larry Bones isn't doing it because I'm sure he is over up to his neck in work on his forthcoming haunted attraction. So this year, the entrance portal is being done by CalHaunts, which is the California Haunting Society. And it's a group of haunters. Most of them are home haunters. And they get together and they teach each other tricks of the trade and how to do these things. If you've been to, if you went and did any of the tombstone carving classes that they've done in the past at Midsummer or Scare LA, I believe they're the ones that taught those classes on how to make the tombstones for your haunt. So this year's theme for the entrance portal is Sleepy Hollow. And it says guests will transition from the show floor into the hollowed shadows as they pass underneath a Gothic archway into an eerie cemetery complete with weathered tombstones and macabre scenic elements.
Wow.
So that sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then inside the hollow shadows, they do what they call mini haunts. So a bunch of local, either home haunts or professional haunts, get a space inside the hollow shadows. And it's about, I think they say they're 20 by 20. So they're not a huge space, but maybe enough room to make 2 or 3 rooms. And so they bring a section of their haunt from wherever they're from. And they put it together and they hire actors to work the weekend. And you actually get to take these little samplings. So it's like the wine and food festival at California Adventure or at Walt Disney World. But it's all included in your admission. So you just get in line for the haunt you want to check out and you go through it. This year, there are 14 haunted attractions signed up to bring a mini haunt.
How are they going to
think about that?
There?
That's more haunted attractions than at Scary Farm. Like, that is a lot of haunted attractions. And yes, they're mini haunts, but they are very popular. I've waited, I think last Midsummer, I waited about 35 minutes for one. So you could spend an entire day probably just in line to check out these mini haunts. But I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the haunts that will be there. Kind of give a shout out to all the haunts that are in the lineup. And some of them are really, really good. So, they're coming from all over California, which is awesome. So you have Dead Zone 805, Gorlesque presents Peep Show, Gothic Hills, Higgins Manor, which if you listened to our podcast back in October, I went and visited Higgins Manor. It's down in the Lake Forest, Irvine area, South Orange County, California. Mm-hmm. Absolutely amazing. And what they did last year at Midsummer Scream was a lot of fun. So, really glad to see they're coming back. Hyde Street Massacre, which was the new haunt by the Bloodshed Brothers that opened in Temecula, California. They're going to be bringing a mini haunt. Immersive Parties, Mutation Analysis Center. I've never heard of them. Interested to find out what it is.
Cool name.
6 Feet Under
Yay!
is actually going to have a mini haunt this year.
We love them.
And it's called Mabel's 6 Feet Under, which if you've been to 6 Feet Under, which is in Anaheim, California, they have one of their characters that haunts the hotel is Mabel, and she's a little girl. Then we have Nightmare Productions presents The Gate. Ooh. Apache Haunts Apparition Adventure Terror Twins. Phobia Productions presents Grimm's Hollow. Pumpkin Jack's Haunted House. The Flesh Yard, which is
we know Flesh Yard too.
Across the street from our place. Mm-hmm. It's our local haunter. The Haunted Rose presents The Maritime Horror. Ooh. And Unhallowed presents The Last Man. So that is the lineup. I mean, just an amazing group of haunts. I can't wait to go check them all out.
I'm excited that those haunts that, like there are names on there that I haven't heard before. I mean, they may have been around for a long time, but I'm in the industry and I haven't heard of them. There have got to be others like me. So this is a great opportunity.
Well, they're coming from
people.
all over. So, I mean, last year they had a haunt from San Diego, which was cool. And, so, I mean, these haunts could be from anywhere, really. They could be out of state for all we know. Some of them, because I've never heard of them either, and I've been in the industry a long time. So it's interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to meet the guys running it. The cool thing about being part of the Decade Brigade is we get the rehearsal day the day before, so we can, while you guys are rehearsing, I can go and peruse the haunts and chat with the people.
Yeah, when you're not setting up our lighting and sound.
Yeah.
But on that note...
Decay Brigade was also announced for the Hall of Shadows. And it's awesome. Right up here, several times each day, the brigade will take to their designated runway in the middle of the hall and perform breathtaking feats of strength and agility as they run, slide, jump, and launch themselves through the air with absolute precision.
That's a very sweet little write-up.
It is. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. We've been working really hard. I mean, I know that it's still a ways off, but like the Decay Brigade's already practicing.
Yeah.
And working out and trying to, dust off the old cobwebs to be awesome again. So I know that, I mean, I have no idea what the layout's going to be. I'm hoping that the place is a little bit bigger if they've got 14 haunts cruising in there. I
think the Hall of Shadows is going to be the same size, but from what I understand, they're going to turn... So last year, the Decay Brigade runway bisected the Hall of Shadows, or like it was vertical to Hall of Shadows horizontal.
Yes.
This year they're going to turn it 90 degrees, so you're going to be following the same path as the Hall of Shadows, so hopefully people can get around if they don't want to watch the show.
That's what I was getting at, is there's going to be more of a footprint available to the haunts, because we're kind of like where we were set by that roll-up door, you can have haunts all along that wall, and then all along the wall with the curtain.
Yeah.
And then the two bigger ones that are off on either point, and then you can have the runway in the middle of that alley.
Yes.
And you can, there's plenty of room to walk on either side. Although, once a crowd builds up, there might not be much room to walk around. But at least it's not completely severing the hall to where when there was a brigade show going on, you really couldn't get past.
No.
You'd have to exit the Hall of Shadows, go around that stage that was out there, and then, and then come in the other side.
Yeah.
So this way, there's still, in theory, a way to get around. If you really wanted to get to that maze, you've seen the brigade, the Decay Brigade perform a million times. You're like, I don't really need to see this. I just really want to see that one haunt. Then you can just go there. But last year, the haunters were kind enough to actually shut down while our shows were going on. So that was beneficial to the guests if they wanted to line up while everyone was watching the shows. And that way they kind of got first pick when they opened back up. It gave the talent a bit of a break. And
I think that's what the consensus was with most of them, is when we talked to them about it, they decided that, the way that the shows were structured, it was perfect timing for the talent to have their breaks.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out. So we'll see if that happens again this year.
Yeah.
Plus with the music from the brigade, I mean, it's going to cut off any sound effects in the haunts. So.
Yeah. And the place, I mean, it's already pretty dark. But doesn't it actually get darker?
Yeah.
Once the show starts. So I mean, walking around is a little bit of a hazard.
But it's really cool. It's fun. The pictures from Midsummer last year were amazing because of the show lighting that we had.
Yeah, that was the give and take where, Scarlet last year was super brightly lit and was great for the sliders because you could easily calibrate your jumps. You could see everything super great. But the pictures were, they were okay. As good as they could be. But with Midsummer, while executing the shows at Midsummer was more tricky.
Yeah, it took us a long time to figure out the lighting for it in order to
but
keep some of the tricks safe.
Yeah, but who is the show ultimately for? The fans.
Yeah.
And the lighting was way better. And the show, the production value was so much higher at Midsummer because of that funky lighting.
Yeah.
And this year it's going to be even better because we're going in with a little bit more control over the lighting. So.
Hopefully we have to make sure we go to that meeting.
Yeah, that's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
As far as production notes go, we're going to have more of a say. We'll see if it actually happens. Hopefully it does. But looking back at the pictures, I like soaking in the imagery from Midsummer more, just for that beautiful visual treat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So mark your calendars, guys.
Midsummer Scream.
What else do you got?
Well, I'm going to say if you didn't go to Midsummer Scream last year, or maybe you're listening from another state, and you're wondering if it's worth the trip to come out, I would say absolutely. If you're into the haunted attraction industry, if you are a fan, this convention is dedicated to the fans. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Trans World where it's industry. This convention is designed for fans of haunted attractions. That being said, if you're a haunt owner or maybe a home haunt owner, it's also an amazing place to go because there's tons of classes and panels and things where you can learn a lot more about the industry, or even just really cool panels with people like Universal Studios and Not Scary Farm, Queen Mary. They always have an amazing panel lineup. Last year they had the Winchester Mystery Mansion folks come down from San Jose, which was an awesome panel. I didn't get to see it because I think it was during a Decay Brigade show.
Sorry.
But I watched it either on YouTube. I can't remember. I either watched it on YouTube or maybe Season Pass podcast had the audio from it. One of the two. But either way, I got to listen to it, and it was awesome.
Cool. Are there still vendor booths available for purchase?
My guess is it's probably, if not sold out, it'll be sold out soon because from what I heard, a lot of the vendors did really well at Midsummer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you're a vendor...
They made a lot of money off of us.
If you're a vendor, you gotta get in there because, like I said, it's a fan event. So if you have anything that fans would like, t-shirts, we saw tons of like handbags and, stuff that fans would want to buy. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing place to sell your stuff. If you have one of those really cool Etsy stores that sells fan merchandise for the horror industry, horror movies, that kind of thing, definitely a place you'd want to vend at. Mm-hmm. Because I heard they did really, really well.
I believe it. It was a great setup. And it seemed very full.
Yeah.
Even with the short turnaround time that they had to produce this event, they had a lot of people there. And while there were spaces where I could see a couple extra vendor booths being placed, they still, that place was filled. Mm-hmm. So they probably were able to squeeze in a couple more this year.
Yep,
so yeah,
definitely.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were sold out already. But if they're not, and you're not already a vendor, and you sell that kind of stuff, or you represent an event, or you have an event that you would like to showcase, definitely look them up. What's the, do they have like a .org or a
It's midsummerscream.org.
There you go. So yeah, check it out.
They have some of the info up. They have the Hall of Shadows info and maybe a couple panels. There's not a whole lot because they roll out the information a little bit at a time. So as they announce stuff, it gets added to the website. Mm-hmm. But they do have an archive of the 2016 panels and vendors, I believe. So you can go to the archive link and kind of see what they had last year. And if it's stuff that would interest you, definitely go this year. Trying to find this video for you to watch.
Ooh, we have another segment of Nani watches a video and then comments on it.
Yes, so we have another Nani watches a video and comments on it. Wow, how long ago did I post this thing? I thought it was recent.
Hey, while you're looking at that, can I talk about Willow at the...
Oh, go for it. So Willow, the studio dog.
Willow, our awesome studio dog, had her first weenie race this past weekend at the Wine Country Wiener Fest at Mount Palomar Winery in Temecula, California. I think I've sent a shout out or two already. My cousin Jim Richardson and his wife Janice are the founders of the Temecula Valley Dachshund Club. It'll happen to you too. Just watch. So in their travels as the founders of the Temecula Valley Dachshund Group, they've done a lot of events for fundraisers and kind of community events just to get all the weenie dog enthusiasts together to raise money for different charities and just, have weenie races and just have fun and hang out and drink and eat food and stuff like that. So this past weekend was their 8th annual, I believe.
Yeah, it was 8th annual.
8th annual Wiener Fest. You heard me. So what that is it's hosted at the winery, and they give us a little section of their property, and they set up the unofficially official 53-foot how long was it? 53 feet? No, it's longer than that. I don't know. It's a little weenie race where 4 weenies at a time run from one side to the other side. And they have a bunch of dachshund rescue groups come, and they'll actually bring adoptable dogs. So you walk down this one alley and they have 3 or 4 different rescues with all of these fluffy, amazing, wonderful dachshunds that are looking for homes. You try walking down that alley and not walking home with a wiener dog in your arms. Like, it is nearly impossible. They're so cute and they're so loving. Ugh. It was nearly impossible. But Willow, as you know, is a rescue from, she's actually from Dachshund Rescue of Los Angeles, who was there. And we got to say hi and bring Willow back, and they gave her lots of lovins and everything like that. So, we registered Willow in the dachshund races because why not? And we intentionally didn't train her. We wanted her just to see what she would do on her own. And I take that back. We did do a bit of training, and it was at the event. Off to one side, Casey held the wiener dog, and I held a piece of cheese, and I ran away from Willow, and then Casey and Willow ran towards me, and that was the extent of our training. So it really wasn't that in-depth. But her turn came up, and she placed second in her heat, but the first place owner stepped over their boundary, and that wiener dog got disqualified. So Willow ended up taking first place in her heat.
Yeah, she did.
And got to go on to the finals, which is super crazy. I mean, she wasn't the fastest by far. Like, she sauntered down the runway. Like, awesome. We just love watching her run and watching her ears flap. So we didn't even care. But the officiant at the end was like, "What's your dog's name?" I'm like, "Willow. Why?" And he's like, "She's in first place." And I was like, "No, she's not. She's far from first place, sir." And he's like, "No, that other dog's disqualified." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So Willow we got to hang out till that afternoon, and she got to run in the finals against dogs who were super fast and
ridiculously fast.
Obviously had done it before. So naturally, she did not.
The record for the day was 2.61 seconds from start to finish. Like. Mm-hmm.
And that
insane
dog
speed
was in Willow's heat in the finals. So Willow,
but she still took third.
She took third. She wasn't even fourth place. So because like the first race, she was like, "I'm just gonna saunter," but then she saw me at the end of the runway and then bolted towards me. By the second race, she had already figured out how it works. So she knew as soon as that little gate opened, she bolted, and she didn't run her fastest, but she was running for sure.
Yeah,
and fast enough to get first place in the finals. You know, for her. So, like, her time wasn't the best, but it didn't need to be.
No, I was just excited.
It was so exciting because it's been just about a year since we've adopted her. It was on Father's Day last year when we adopted Willow. So to go last year going to the Weenie Fest as, you know, onlookers, we didn't have our own dachshund. We're looking at all of the dachshunds, hundreds of dachshunds, like going, "I really wish we had our own wiener dog." And then a couple of months after that, getting our own wiener dog, finally. And then coming back to this year's Wiener Fest with our own puppy.
I know, it's great.
It was really special. I mean,
she had a lot of fun.
Yeah, she did. A lot of people loved her because she looks older than she is, because she's got that white thing, like that white mask on her face. But she's had it her whole life. Like, when she goes gray, we're not even going to notice because she's always had that white look. But everyone's like, "Oh, look at this old girl. How old is she?" And we're like, 6. She's not that old.
No.
They're like, "Oh, sorry." But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I just wanted to say congratulations to our little studio dog, Willow.
Yeah.
She did great.
She was awesome. All right. So let's set up the Nani watches a video and then makes a comment on it. So this video is a ghost hunting group in Argentina. I believe it's Argentina. It's all in Spanish, and I don't speak a whole lot of Spanish. But someone sent me this video, and it's pretty awesome. I did kind of a Google Translate-ish thing on the description. So that's a group from Argentina, and the translation wasn't perfectly clear. It's either an asylum or a prison that they're investigating.
Okay.
And let's turn on the sound. So you can hear something banging in the background, and they're going to go investigate what is banging.
Wait a minute. So this isn't like being put on, like this is an actual ghost hunt?
This is an actual real ghost hunt, and it's from what I understand,
I'm uneasy. What's that in the back there?
Just watch.
I don't like... What is that? I don't like it.
So
why is it doing that?
This is supposedly 100% real video. It was sent to us.
We need to do this in a hunt. I'm uneasy.
So now it's close enough you can actually see. It's like
a door
like one of those
opening
boxes that like they put a fire hose in.
And it stopped! And the light stopped flickering. What's happening? And now the lights are out. What is that? What is happening?
So now they're just getting up to the box here.
Why are all the bricks painted different colors? It was just opening and closing and opening and closing.
Yeah.
And the lights are flickering.
So they're investigating the box and they can't really find what was causing it to bang open and close.
What just happened? What? So they're walking past it. They're like walk past it and now they're going back to where they were.
Yeah, so that's the video. So what did you think about that?
Oh, it was scary. I didn't like it. Oh, it made me sick to my stomach. I didn't like it.
It was crazy because it looks like something you'd see in Resident Evil or like a movie.
It looks like a haunted house.
Like it looks like.
So that's why I'm like, that's just a gag. That's not real.
But supposedly it's a real, like they were actually investigating that actually happened.
I don't know. Can I watch it again? Is it okay?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, we'll pause it so she can watch it again and dissect it. Okay, so we're back. Veronica, now you've watched it twice.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
All right, so let me put my skeptic hat back on. I threw it when I turned around and ran away. All right, skeptic hat is back on. Whew, composed. I'm good. All right, so this video, it's hard to determine if it is an asylum or a prison. It's someplace with very thick walls, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And very rainbow colored painted bricks for some reason. So the shot goes down this hallway and you can't see it too clearly at first, but what you do see is this strobing fluorescent light above this hallway, and then you just hear this very rhythmic slamming. So it's the cameraman starts walking down this hallway, and then you start to see the movement on the right side, and it looks like, at first I thought it was maybe like a drawer being pulled open and then closed.
Okay.
Because it was very, very steady, and there was no bouncing. Like it didn't bounce open and then bounce closed like you might expect with like maybe a pneumatic arm moving everything. A pneumatic actuator.
Yes.
But so that's why I thought it was something bigger than what it was. So the camera gets closer and you see that it's a door slamming open and shut. But even a person slamming open and shut, there would be a level of kickback on the door.
Yeah.
I would assume.
So you hear like or whatever.
You would
hear like a
you would like
hit
feel the hand pushing against the door.
You can hear it. I'm sure you can hear it in the audio. We're going to post the video on the blog for this this episode, so you can check it out. But it's slamming hard.
It is, yeah. It's really hard, and it's not bouncing at all. Like it closes shut, and it is shut like it was never open.
Yeah.
And when it opens up again, like
it's opening up with force too.
Yeah, and like with a pneumatic actuator, when it opens, it's like 100% or 0%, assuming. When it has, goes from 100% to 0%, it would stop with a jolt. But there is no jolt at all. It's either open, movement, closed. Like there's no judder or anything. And it's eerily rhythmic. It's super loud. And this whole time, the light is strobing.
Yeah.
And it's not a regular strobe. Like it's fairly inconsistent. So finally the cameraman gets super close to the door. You see it's a door, and you see like the guy gets very close. Or the guy
it's like it's not like a door like you walk in. It's a door like if you ever been in a hospital or like a big building, they have those red boxes where they store, there's like a fire hose inside. It's like a firebox. It's one of those boxes. So it's probably like maybe 3 feet by 2 feet. It's like a metal door.
It looked a little bit taller than that. Maybe 4-ish feet tall. Like, it was pretty tall.
There's no hose inside, but when they're looking inside, you can see the attachment where like the hose would go.
Yeah. And I was looking in the corners trying to find where they might have hidden some sort of actuator somewhere. But I mean, I didn't see anything. It's not like the lighting was great, and then the flashlight kind of scooped around the corners on the wall going past it. And like everything looked like it was in place. I couldn't identify anything that looked like it was the one making the movements. The one thing that was kind of a red flag for me as far as it being a gimmick was, so the strobe is going on and the door is slamming on and off. Suddenly the door stops slamming and then the lights turns off. Yeah. So to me,
which gives time.
It's time to remove any apparatus that might have. So that to me is like, you know, it was a little bit of a red flag.
Since the lights were off, they could have taken like a 30-minute, a 1-hour break, repositioned,
no way
turn
to
the light
know.
back on, and it would have looked normal.
And on camera, you wouldn't have noticed at all. And there's no timestamp on the image. Like, there's no identifying marks actually burned onto the image to know the time. So if we had seen maybe some raw where we could have seen the burned time on it, then that would be a little bit more reassuring. But the fact that we're only seeing, you know, just a clip from something, or not seeing any sort of, you know, established time or time lapse or anything like that, you know, of course that's going to raise some suspicions. But from an entertainment standpoint, that was scary as hell.
That's a great video, right?
I loved it. Like, I was very tense watching that movie. Like, I'll still, even though I'll assume it's a gag, I'll get sucked up in a second. So it was definitely like I was waiting for something to jump out of it, or something to like take the cameraman and like you see it spin wildly and then you hear a crack, like it cracked their neck or something like that. Like, I was waiting for something horrible, but it didn't happen. It was just the slamming. But like, I'll assume it's a gag, of course, but it was great. It was really good. And I'll be thinking about that one for a while. Like, because I mean, enough of me thinks like, oh my God, that was a ghost and they totally caught it on camera. But I mean, the practical, like, doing haunts, like, I would love to know how that was done, because it was really, really cool. Yeah. But it was scary. I loved it. Good find.
Awesome. All right.
So thank you to whoever sent that. That was great.
Yeah. And I guess that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure you rate us on iTunes, because we always forget to tell you to do that. Go and rate us. We should do some kind of like raffle or something.
For what?
For people so if they rate us on iTunes, everybody that goes and rates us will put out their name in a raffle and you can get something.
What do we have to offer? Like, I don't want to volunteer stuff from the brigade, because I don't necessarily speak for them.
Buy something from the brigade.
I guess. We could. It could be good. That's something we can work on.
Okay, how about this? It's going to run for the rest of the month. So you have this episode and next episode. If you go and rate us on iTunes, we're going to put your name in a raffle. And on the last day of the month, whichever it is, how many days? Is it 31st?
April's 30th.
30.
Yeah.
So on the 30th, everybody that goes and rates us on iTunes, we'll put your name in a hat. And we'll have Veronica pull the hat. And we'll do it on Facebook Live.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
And whoever wins will get a box of a box of spooky crap.
A box of spooky crap.
We'll come up
you
with
heard it here
fun.
First, guys.
So if you want a box of spooky crap, go and rate us on iTunes, and then we will pick a winner, and you will get some stuff.
This is a great idea. We could have established something before.
No, we're going to do it. This is how we do things. This is how we do things at Tales of the Fog. It's very spontaneous.
It's so true.
And we're just going to do it. So
I'm on board, though. I second it.
All right. So now it's going to happen. So go and rate us on iTunes, and everybody between now and the 29th will say.
Sure.
That rates us on iTunes. Your name will go in a hat, and you'll maybe win a box of spooky crap.
So are we doing like contest rules apply, like with a radio show, like no immediate family is eligible or anything like that?
I don't think any immediate family listens to the podcast.
That's not true.
Okay.
My awesome step siblings in Illinois listen to the podcast.
That's true. But they're eligible because they're in Illinois.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's true. Yay! I don't know. They probably already rated us anyway.
All right, go rate us on iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram at Tales from the Fog. You can follow us on Facebook at Tales from the Fog. If you want to watch the video, it's going to be on the blog talesfromthefog.weebly.com, or you can go on our Facebook page and it'll be posted at the top of the page, the link to the blog post. Is there anything else?
I don't think so. That's pretty much it. We don't really have much to report from any other haunted avenues at this time.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hopefully soon. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. So thank you guys for listening, and until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
Bye, guys.
Bye.